Okay, it started. Also start Q&A. It started. Okay. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to Tableau Buddy TUG, that is giving voice to our community rising stars. Well, they're not rising stars. Today we have a great lot. They have a tremendous experience as well as they're going to share really good insights about their work, what they're doing right now. So, a bit about Tableau Buddy. So, Tableau Buddy is a whole family. It got started in 2021, started with one to one mentorships. Then we started Tableau Buddy TUG, that's a Tableau user group for the people. And it's a platform where we provide opportunities to new and upcoming voices. That's our main mission and goal. And then we are also bringing Tableau Buddy Sandbox. That's an accelerated program to mentor 18 learners across the globe for 4 months. We'll be launching soon this year. There will be a competition, and then we'll be taking 18 learners, and we have so many great mentors joining us as well. Okay, so our vision and mission, I already talked about it. It's the only mission that we have is to provide opportunity and to give them a platform who really want to speak. And all we want you is to enjoy, laugh, and Tableau. That's also one of our mission. And feel free to reach out to me if you are someone who wants to speak, who want to present whatever you know, your knowledge at our tag. Feel free to message me or any of our leaders. About our team, so we are a four-person team. You can see Avinash right here. So Avinash has got 2 times VOTD. He is a multiple times TUG speaker, and he works at Optum Ireland as a senior data analyst. And then we have Vani. She is a 3 times social ambassador, and she is currently working as a data visualization engineer at Expedia Group. And also, you might already know Ansula. She has a really great YouTube channel, goes by the name Techianchi. She is also a Tableau social ambassador, and currently she works at Zoom as a data visualization expert. And then, yes, it's me. I'm present. I am a 2 times Tableau visionary, 2 times Tableau social ambassador, and I'm currently working as a senior BI engineer at Emirates NBD. So before we go on to the main event, if you want to subscribe us on YouTube or join our WhatsApp group, please scan these QR code. All these sessions are being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. Also, any upcoming event or any in-person event we are doing all across the globe right now, so that all information will be there on the WhatsApp group. So I'll just hold on for 1 minute. You can scan it, and then we'll move on. Okay, so now today's agenda. So that was our welcome and introduction to all of you. And then we'll be having a great session by Serena Purslow that goes by the title From Data to Dashboard. Then we have Shangruff, who will be telling us about his Makeovermonday Streak. That is 27 visualization in 27 weeks. That's a great streak. He'll be talking about how he does it. And then we have Sujan Narahari, who will be talking about some use cases related to multi-dimensional and multi-level set actions. Also, if you have any questions, we have a Q&A section. You can put all your questions in there. And please, in the chat box, say hi to everyone, tell us where you are coming from, and keep it busy. Okay. So our first speaker, Serena Purslow, she is a Tableau Alteryx consultant at Information Lab, and she is a Tableau public featured author. Her session is titled From Data to Dashboard Inside the Dashboard Building Process. In this session, actually, Serena will take us through each of her step of her dashboard building process, from mood boarding and finding data to sketching designs and also leveraging AI. So now I'll stop here and I'll hand it over to Serena for her insightful session.
Thank you very much for the intro. I'm just going to share my screen and then I'll get started.
Yes.
Okay, is that sharing okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, yeah, thank you, everyone. Super excited to talk to you today. And yeah, as just introed, I'll be talking to you about my dashboard building process. So this presentation is called Data to Dashboard. So is the slide going to move? There we go. I'm sure lots of you have always wondered what goes into the process of building a Tableau dashboard. So today I'm going to be taking you through and giving you some insights into all the steps of my dashboard building process. So we're going to be looking at all the sort of steps in my dashboard building pipeline, finding an idea, gathering inspiration, finding the data and what to do when you can't. We'll talk about planning and sketching your design, using AI to help, some color choice, accessibility, and best practices. And then I'm going to touch a little bit on Figma as well. But before I get into that, I would just like to introduce myself and talk a little bit about my journey with Tableau. So a little bit about me. I come from a creative and numerical background, so I've always enjoyed both at school. My favourite subjects are maths and art. There's a little painting that I did at school. After school, I moved on to study international relations and quantitative methods at university, and this is where I really developed my love of data. I've lived in 4 different countries, most recently living and working in Spain for 2 years. I'm a big outdoors lover, so I love climbing and hiking. There's a little picture of me climbing up a big rock. I've had a mix of jobs, so I've been a choral singer, a waitress, I've worked for a comedy club, and I've been a teacher, which has given me skills I use every day. And in my last job, which is teaching English to young children, I decided that I was kind of ready for a change and wanted to focus more on what I loved about my degree, which was data. And there's a picture of me teaching at a summer camp. So when I was looking for a more data-focused job, I found the information lab, and this is where I started using Tableau. So I began using Tableau as part of the application process, and I joined the information lab and the data school in November 2022. The whole Tableau icon and the information lab icon. And then, so I'm a consultant there, and in September 2023, I joined the Lloyds Banking Group, and that's where I currently am working now. So I work in a Tableau adoption team where I help teach people Tableau. So I do training sessions, do sort of community building internally. So recreating kind of like the Tableau public community, but within Lloyds. And it's really, it's been a great job, and I've learned so much from it. I'm also a Tableau featured author, and I've been very fortunate to have 3 visitors of the day, which is always just, the best feeling. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. Now I'm going to get into my topic. So I'm going to be taking you through the dashboard, data to dashboard pipeline. So these are all the sort of steps that I'm going to take you through in detail. So we'll go through the idea stage, getting the data, time to draw, so planning, sketching your dashboard, design time, thinking about colors, branding, best practices, going into Tableau, and then some of the finishing touches. So I'm going to be talking about the dashboard building process, and I'm going to be referencing this dashboard that I built. So this is a sales pipeline dashboard, which you can find on my Tableau Public. It's linked in the bottom, but I don't know if you can actually click on it in the screen, but I can share these slides later on anyway. But yeah, this is the dashboard I'll be talking you through. So the very first part of the dashboarding process is going to be coming up with an idea. So what dashboard are you going to build? So the first thing to think about is the topic of your dashboard. Are you going to do a business dashboard, or do you want to practice a sort of more creative one? And the key with building or getting an idea for a dashboard is to draw on your experiences. So in terms of a business dashboard, draw on your work experiences. So maybe you've come across a dashboard internally that you'd like to recreate, or maybe there's a gap that you think would be really cool to build a dashboard to fill. Think about what you sort of come into contact with day to day, and draw from those experiences to create a really cool business dashboard. Or if you're wanting to explore your creativity and creating a fun dashboard, think about what are your interests. So are you really interested in sports, really interested in politics? Choose a topic that interests you and excites you, and this will really sort of come across in your dashboard. And if in doubt, seek inspiration from Tableau Public. So Tableau Public, I always have a look on Tableau Public when I'm building a dashboard. Like, the amount of content on there is like insane. Just I come across vizzes that I just don't even know how they're built, and I just want to have a play with because they're so cool. So it's a great place to come for inspiration. But even then, if you can't find an idea, a great option is to build a dashboard as part of the community challenge. So a couple of my favorites are Makeovermonday, which provides weekly data sets and vizzes that need recreating. And they have some really interesting data sets, some data that you might not have thought you'd ever work with. And if you're a bit more of a beginner, Back to Viz Basics is a really good place to start with building a dashboard as well. And these challenges build on foundational knowledge with slightly more simple data sets. So the task might be like build a heat map or use brand colors, for example. These are all the places I'll go to get ideas when building a dashboard. And then once you've decided on the topic, I like to create a mood board. So it's a great idea to sort of seek inspiration, find what's out there already on your topic. So I'll quite often search my topic on Tableau Public and see what other people have done. I might Google the topic as well to see if there's dashboards, not in Tableau, so maybe Power BI or some other sites. And I like to create a mood board with images of dashboards that I find inspiring, or maybe dashboards that have fields that I think I'm going to need and KPIs that I think are relevant to me. I would say one word of caution with this, though, is that sometimes when you've seen how someone else has approached a topic, it can be quite hard to get their idea out of your head. So depending on the topic and how you work, sometimes it's best to just go for it. So perhaps if you're doing like a competition, in that scenario, I'd say just go for it, because you don't want to sort of have your ideas muddled by maybe something that someone else has done. But in general, I love a mood board, so I'm a big fan of that. Okay, so you've got your idea, and now it's time to find the data. And this can often be one of the most frustrating steps. But here are a few good sites to find some free data, ones that I quite often use. So we've got Kaggle and Data World. The World Bank is a great source of sort of like population data or environmental data. Sometimes the data from these websites does need a little bit of cleaning. World Bank, more often than not, I need to clean the data, but that's always a good sort of test of your Tableau prep skills. So you're working 2 bits of software there. And Tableau also has some great sample data on their website as well. But sometimes you just can't find the data that you want. It's happened to me so many times. And in that scenario, build your own data set. That's the solution. So there's been plenty of times when I've not been able to find the data, so I've created my own. And this is what I did for this sales dashboard. So creating your data not only allows you to bring in insights that you might have from day-to-day work, but it also allows you to create a data set that can be used by others. So you've not been able to find this data set, the likelihood is that other people have searched for it and not been able to find it either. So if you can create a data set, you can then put that resource out to the community and sort of share that with the community, which is really powerful. So how I like to go about building my data set is using a tool called Mockaroo to build up some fake data. But before you get into that tool, as with most things, you need to create a little plan first. So there's a few ways that I'll go about planning a data set. And the first one is to figure out what fields I want. So this is where the mood board comes into play. I might go back to my mood board and see what KPIs other people have used in a similar dashboard. I can think, okay, they've used ARR, they've used this sales value. Maybe I want to have these measures in my data set. You can also Google some key KPIs, or finally, you can use AI to help. So for my sales pipeline data set, I use ChatGPT quite heavily actually to plan out my data and plan those fields. So when building the data for my sales pipeline dashboard, I had a Google of some key metrics, but mostly I would ask ChatGPT questions such as, what variables would I expect to have in a sales pipeline data set? What are the stages of the sales pipeline? I've got these stages, dormant, pipeline generation, discovery. How should I weight these for my pipeline? And questions such as this, so I could build up a list of variables I need and a kind of understanding of what I might need within those variables. Once you've got your plan, it's time to head into Mockaroo. So this is kind of a little look of what Mockaroo looks like. It can take a little bit of practice to get used to it, but it's a really powerful tool and really fun to play around with. So when I get into it, I'll start by listing out my fields based on the ones that I've decided I'm using in ChatGPT. I'll then choose the field types. So I want to define if they're numeric, if they're strings, and if they're going to be lists, so sort of like categorical data. If I've got a list, what I would do is revert back to ChatGPT again to sort of create my categories. So I had a variable in this data that was sales representative, so kind of like the account manager, and I wanted to just come up with a random list of names. So I'd ask ChatGPT to give me a list of 10 random names, and I use those names to populate the options in Mockaroo. You can also add weighting in Mockaroo to create trends. So for my sales pipeline, I would expect to see more accounts in the first stages of the pipeline, so at the very beginning, and fewer in the final stages. So within Mockaroo, you can create these sorts of trends so that your data actually looks how a real data set would. And then for some other trends, which I'm sure you can create in Mockaroo, but I personally didn't find so easy, I would create these using an ETL tool such as Tableau Prep. So I did this to create an ID number that depended on my sales representative's name. And I also did this to create temporal trends. So I bring in like batches of 1,000 rows, which would have decreasing time intervals and increasing ranges of amounts. And this would give the impression that my data, my company was kind of growing and I was getting sort of more income effectively. When building out a data set, it's quite important to go through iterations. So don't expect to get it right on the first time. So I would like to bring values into Tableau and just have a little play around with the data I've created, check the trends, and then readjust them in Mockaroo to make sure that they actually look like how I'd expect them to look. So there was another data set that I created for an email campaign dashboard. And when I was doing this, I was bringing in my variables such as like click rate and bounce rate. And I'd bring that into Tableau, check the value, and then what I would do is just go to Google and Google like what's the average bounce rate for like a SaaS company. Find that information and then tailor my data to make sure that those variables and those numbers are actually believable. And here is the output for the sales pipeline data. If you're interested in using this, you can find it on my Data World profile. It's there to use. So if you haven't been able to find a sales pipeline data set, there's that ready to go. Okay, so we've got our topic, we've got our data. It's now time to plan out our dashboard for design. But the first thing we want to think about is the outcome of our dashboard. So what is its purpose? And a good way of answering this is to build a user story. So I'll start by asking the who, when, what, why, thinking about who's going to be using the dashboard, when like this situation has arisen for the need of it, what the user wants to be able to do, and why they need to be able to do it. So what the outcome needs to be. And thinking about this will help me write a user story. So for my sales pipeline data set, I wrote a user story. As a sales executive of a company selling SaaS products, when assessing the health of my sales pipeline and the success of my sales team, I want to be able to see how the company is doing and progressing and how well my sales team are using so I can strategize how to increase opportunities and push my sales team further. Ultimately, what we want to be getting at here is the so what of our dashboard. Like we've built a dashboard, but so what? What impact is it having? And this is particularly important for business dashboards, a little bit less important for creative ones if it's like a passion project. But try to think about the so what and the outcome of your dashboard. And yeah, key thing to think about. So now we know what the purpose and the point of our dashboard is, we are ready to start sketching it. This is another really important step in dashboard design, particularly in a business context, as it helps you plan out what you want your dashboard to look like, which can be a really valuable step in sort of client relations or sort of stakeholder management. So instead of building out a dashboard and taking like a month to build it and then going to the stakeholder who's just seen it for the first time, if you can come up with a little sketch and show that to them, they can then say if they don't like something. So that can save you a lot of time and frustration. Rather than having to rebuild a dashboard, all you have to do is like play around with your sketch and rejiggle it a little bit. So a really useful tool for client relations, but also for you to get an idea of what you want your dashboard to look like. So when I'm sketching out a dashboard, I will normally start by planning what KPIs I want. So what are my really important metrics? And then I'll think about my other metrics, so my measures and my sort of categories and things. And I'll think about what charts these would suit. So I'll probably, in this scenario, as you can see in the picture, I've not actually done the charts most of them, but I've come up with the question that I want to answer. And I kind of knew what I wanted to then do from that, as this was just myself. But coming up with these ideas of the layout and the chart choices. And then at this point, you can start having a play around in Tableau. So building out a bunch of charts to see if, okay, I think I want to present this data in a bar chart, but does that actually work? And getting some idea of what works and what doesn't. So for my sales pipeline dashboard, I sketched out, had 3 dashboards. So I had a little think about the layout and sort of what questions I wanted to answer in which dashboard, what KPIs I wanted, and how I wanted it to interact, so what filters I wanted, for example. And I also planned out my colors and branding. So as part of the dashboard design process, I personally like my color palette before I get into building the dashboard. And here's a couple things to think about when choosing colors. So color is a really important tool that we can utilize to grab the audience attention and help draw out insights and communicate data. But if you do it wrong, it can cause a little bit of chaos and it can even mislead the user. So I've got a few key considerations for using color well. And the first one is to use color mindfully to guide the user's attention. So color is so impactful and it really draws our attention. Like if you imagine a red blob on a white page, you're instantly going to look at it. You're not going to be looking at the white space. So think about how you can leverage the power of that to engage users and help them, draw their attention to those key insights. And on the basis of that, stick to light colors for the rest of the dashboard. So reduce those distractions. A red blob on a white page stands out, but a red blob on a page with loads of other blobs isn't going to stand out. So think about how you can make those insights stand out by using color. I like to use darker or bold colors to highlight important insights, or even bright colors. But try not to go overboard with colors. There's a time and a place, but generally speaking, I stick to about 5 main colors. I'll choose 2 for positive and negative insights and stick to them. So consistency here is key. If you've used red and blue to be positive and negative in one chart, make sure you use them in another chart, because if you suddenly change it to green and orange, your user's not going to understand why you've made that choice. So be consistent with your colors, and also be mindful of accessibility. So it is a common choice, red and green, and in a lot of companies it's hard to move away from that. But try not to use red and green together, as these colors, as you can see with this sort of simulation in the bottom corner, are really hard to tell apart for people with color blindness. So there's actually a colorblind palette within Tableau, which uses sort of like blues and oranges and grays. And this is a great choice if you're sort of unsure about how to navigate color accessibility. So for my sales pipeline dashboard, I planned out my colors that I wanted for the majority of my dashboard and to highlight positive and negative values. So I stuck to about 5 main colors, and there's lots of ways to choose colors, but a great option is to use the Coolers color picker to build your palette, which is just linked at the bottom. And here you can sort of build out a color palette and sort of see what colors work together. It can also be a great idea to use branding guidelines or like brand colors to help sort of choose your dashboard design and to create a cohesive dashboard that looks on brand. If you're creating a sort of fake business dashboard, you may not have a company logo, and I think it can be quite fun to build your own. So I built my own logo for this one, and I based my colors off my fake company logo. And if you want to do that yourself, this is another way that you can leverage AI. So yeah, often important to use branding, and you can use AI image sites such as Firefly to help create branding imagery for your dashboard. So for the sales pipeline dashboard, I created this logo in Firefly, but I've also used AI to create backgrounds for other dashboards. So this sort of seaside view was created using Firefly as well. And yeah, I love the effect that it had actually. That's really cool. So for this dashboard, to create my company logo, I used the following prompt: fake company Zing Tech Products logo, and created my logo with that, and then used some of the color features in Firefly to sort of play around with how that logo then looked. So I sort of played around with the colors within it a little bit, and I used Adobe to remove the background for the logo, so I had a very simple logo design. Now Adobe and Firefly, last time I checked, are both free, so really good tools to use if you're wanting to experiment with using AI imagery in your dashboards. Okay, So data's done, the design's done. All that's actually left to do now is to build our dashboards. I'm not going to go through getting into Tableau, but what I would like to talk about are some of the best practices of data viz to remember and think about when you are creating your dashboard. So the first one links back to our sort of user story, and this is understanding the context. So understand the audience. How data literate are they? Have they used Tableau before? So if you're creating a dashboard for like a sort of C-suite executive, that dashboard's probably going to be quite different to if you're building a dashboard for like a data engineer. So understanding your audience is really important in kind of creating a dashboard that's usable and sort of, yeah, helpful for them. In terms of sort of data literacy, you're not always going to know how data literate someone is. So my general advice is to just assume that people aren't data literate, and then your dashboard is going to be accessible for everyone. So if you have that as the baseline, you can keep it accessible, even for people who maybe are super data literate. The next thing to remember is to choose the appropriate visuals. So are you choosing the right chart to display your data? That, in my opinion, there's a wrong chart for certain data types. Like, I don't like to see a pie chart with hundreds of categories on it, and I know a lot of other people don't like to see that as well. So if you're in doubt of how best to choose a chart for your data, a great place to come to is Andy Kriebel's Visual Vocabulary, which is on Tableau Public, linked there. And this is a great dashboard where basically you can say, oh, I'm wanting to explore correlation or sort of deviation. Click on that sort of trend that you're looking at, and Andy has listed loads of really cool charts that are appropriate for that type of relationship or whatever you're exploring. So that's a great place to go to if you're sort of concerned about chart choice. But the key thing to remember is focusing on communication. So is the chart communicating the data? Can people understand what it's saying? And can people actually understand the values that the chart is showing? Next thing to think about is to eliminate clutter. So this kind of goes back to my red blob on a white page analogy. Maintaining white space and reducing excess of information like lines, text, is a really important step in making your dashboard look really professional. Reducing all that sort of excess clutter helps us really focus and hone in on the important parts of the dashboard. And yeah, I just think it always makes it look a lot more professional having things spaced out. And then a few more best practices to consider. Drawing attention thoughtfully, so be mindful of position, size, and color, and be consistent with your choices. So going back to our color choice, our color theory, if you're using maybe 3 colors to denote 3 different categories, be consistent with that decision and use those consistently across your dashboard. Don't start playing around with them on a different chart because that can be really confusing. And also be consistent with things like text size, font color. Keeping these things consistent will give you a really polished look to your dashboard, and sometimes can be something that people kind of think isn't that important, but actually when you see a dashboard that looks great, more often than not, these are the things that make it look so polished. Next up, guide your user. So going back to not assuming how data literate someone is, don't assume that they know how to interact with Tableau or how to interact with items in your dashboard. So if you've got a chart that has a filter action on it, don't assume that someone's going to click on it because they might not know. They might not click on it and they might not know to. So there's a really easy way for me that I use to guide the user. You can see in this image here, what we've got here is just a little sort of bar chart table, and the subtitle says, select a stage to filter dashboard, which is telling the user, if you select a stage, it's going to filter the rest of the dashboard. Really neat, really small, like a little way to sort of guide the user, but it has a big impact and it ensures that people are getting the sort of full measure and the full grip of your dashboard. They're experiencing it in the way that you designed it. And then final one, as we sort of touched on, be mindful of accessibility. So think about colors, think about contrast, try not to bring really bright or dark colors on like really, really white colors. So don't use like dark black on very white, as this can cause a lot of strain on our eyes, and it can also be quite sort of difficult to navigate for people, neurodivergent people. So have a play around with colours, but be mindful of accessibility. And then the final thing I'd just like to touch on is Figma. So you can use Figma to elevate design and take your dashboards to the next level. More often than not, if you've seen a really cool dashboard in Tableau Public with like fun imagery and fancy titles, the background may have been done in Figma. So Figma is a design tool. You can build designs, create titles, play around with shapes, whatever. And it's really fun to play around with and can be really useful, especially in like a creative dashboard. But a word of caution on using it in a business context. If you're handing over a design or using it within your work, you need to make sure that using Figma is sustainable. There may be people in the team who are then going to take on a dashboard that don't know how to use Figma. So if you're using that within a dashboard, just be mindful of how other people can navigate that within your company or a business setting. And in some places, workplaces, Figma isn't actually accessible. So that's another thing to think about if you can even leverage that and access it in your company. Okay, so we've gone through all the stages of building a dashboard, from getting an idea to finding and building the data, planning the dashboard, thinking about user stories, choosing colors and best practices to sort of leverage design. And this was the final output of my sales pipeline dashboard. I was really happy with it. I liked how it looked. If you want to check it out, you can have a look at it on my Tableau Public. But that brings me to the end of my presentation. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you did and maybe learned something. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Twitter, or check out my Tableau Public.
Thank you so much, Serena. That was a really insightful session, as well as the process that you follow. I can really relate with it. Like the part where sketching is really important. I do so. Like I have a separate notebook where I first sketch it out and then only go into Figma. So it's a great process, and everybody should follow. I think because it really clarifies what you're going to do, and then you will take much less time to do things in Tableau once you have ideated everything there.
I agree.
Yeah, very comprehensive, Serena. So really thoughtful process on starting with the data prep and design colors and how you laid out at the end. So it's really good. Thank you very much for sharing that again. I think there are one or two questions. Let me bring it up from Ojo. So, what tool do you use to draw in? Is it a pen or paper or some other tool that you generally use
Yeah,
to structure your dashboard? So, sorry.
no, it really depends. So within my when I'm working at Lloyd's, I can't always access some of the tools that I like to use sort of on personal projects. So on personal projects, I use Excalibur, which is a really good website for kind of like playing around with things and mapping things out. At Lloyd's, I actually use PowerPoint quite often, as it's accessible there. But there are times where sometimes like I can't even visualize it in PowerPoint. I just need to get a pen and paper and play around with it. So pen and paper, I feel like if you've not sketched a dashboard out before, I would say start with pen and paper, and then once you get a bit more feel of how you're going to lay things out, then you can maybe play around with some of the tools. But
Yeah,
pen and paper.
absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that. And there is one more question from Ojo related to how you join Information Lab and how it helped in your career progression. It's more on career progression related. So yeah, maybe if you have any thoughts or maybe Ojo, so you can feel free to connect with Serena on that if you have anything in particular. So
Yeah. So Information Lab, where I work, is a really cool organization that's got a branch called the Data School, which
Mhm.
they basically run like a 2.5 year program where it's pretty accessible to anyone. You don't need to come from a data background. The first 4 months are just training. So I was really lucky to have great Tableau training from people like Lorna Brown, like some Tableau visionaries, which
Yeah.
was a great place to learn, obviously. And then after that, you start going on placements with clients. So you do 4 6-month placements. In my scenario, I've actually done a whole year at Lloyd's because I've loved the team there, and I work with a Tableau visionary, Diego Parker. So I've learned so much from him. So a great sort of place to work. But yeah, it's a really cool program. I'll find the link for the website and drop it into the chat. So if anyone's interested to find out more, they can hit that up and have a little look. But if you have more questions, feel free to message me on LinkedIn.
Super. Thank you so much, Serena, for that. And other than the Q&A, so there are a lot of comments on your session. So very positive, and a lot of people are appreciating. And thanks again for sharing all your tips. That's really useful and insightful.
Yeah, and thanks again for deciding to come, even if you are flying tomorrow.
No, it's
Yeah.
been a pleasure.
Yeah, and I wish you happy journey, Serena,
Thank
for
you.
tomorrow's trip.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we had a great session, and now we are heading to the second session that is from Mr. Makeover Monday, as what I've started calling him. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen now. Okay, so now we have our next speaker, who is Shangruff Raina. He is a lead visualization developer at Nike, and he is also a Tableau Public featured author. You can just go to Tableau Public, you will see him being featured. He's the current Tableau Public featured author, and today he's going to talk about his journey of building 27 visualizations in 27 weeks, and that was consecutive, actually. So his Makeover Monday streak, and he will talk about how he executes the rapid development of his visuals every week. That's not easy to stick with that time for so long. So I really appreciate with what he's doing. And now I'll hand it over to him.
Yep. Thank you. Before I share, that was an amazing session, Serena, and I'm a big fan. Like all my business dashboard, they somehow end up getting inspired from you. So I remember my first modern UI dashboard was inspired from you. I think I did throw an inspiration out there. So yeah, your color palette is amazing. Like whatever you choose, specifically the purple that your deck had, I'm a big fan.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm inspired by
Yes.
your work all the time as well, dear. Yeah, some pretty cool Makeover Mondays out there I've seen recently.
Appreciate it. Yeah, let me share my screen and can you all see?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Alrighty. So yeah, 21 visits in 27 weeks. So this is my Makeover Monday streak. The title idea came from Prasanna. Kudos to him for that. Okay, so what we'll be covering today? Agenda. The first thing is like I'll give a very quick intro about me. Uh, then I'll just give a very brief introduction of what Makeover Monday actually is and how it started and stuff like that. Then how to start your journey, like how to begin if you're in it, like how to go about it. Then I'll provide my take on Makeover Monday with an example, like a recent example, which we'll go through. Then a question: how do I make quick submissions? Yeah, of course, some useful links. So there you go. About me. Okay, I'm Shangruff Raina. Y'all can call me Shang. I mean, I usually go by Shang. So here's my Tableau public portfolio link attached somewhere in the deck. So my 9 to 5 life. Yeah, I'm a lead Wiz developer at Nike. It's been 2 years that I completed on 11th of July at Nike. And so far, I have like 8+ years of experience in the field of data analysis, visualization, storytelling. Yeah, as Prasanna mentioned, I'm Tableau featured author for 2024, and I was really honored when I got to know about that. I was stoked, and I still cannot contain myself with that. So, yeah, my hobbies. Yeah, I love hiking. Soon I'll be. So I live in Portland, Oregon, where Nike is headquartered, and so it's in the Pacific Northwest US, and it has a lot of like volcanoes which are kind of like not erupting all the time, but they're about to. That's what they say. So last year I climbed one of those, and then the most famous one is Mount Hurd. So it has a hike around it, which is a 40-mile hike. So I will be going backpacking trip for 3 nights and 4 days there. So we're about like planning the trip. So probably I might miss Makeover Monday that week, I guess. So yeah, I'm a sneaker collector. So yeah, I collect a lot of sneakers, and probably joining Nike was a dream come true. Yep. And then I love listening to hip hop music. I mean, Eminem is my goat, and I'm so stoked he released his latest album past week. So that's about me. Now, what is Makeover Monday? Okay, so when you open Makeover Monday, one thing that comes up there is one chart at a time. That's what basically drives me, one chart at a time. It's not like you build everything together, they give you a data one chart at a time. So that's a very powerful line that they have right up top on their website. And but how was it started? It was started by a Tableau visionary, Andy Kriebel. You might be knowing him. He's very active on LinkedIn. He posts a lot of Tableau tips. He has an amazing YouTube channel, and he puts a lot of good sessions around there on a lot of different topics. I have attended a few. They're amazing. So Andy Kriebel and Eva Murray, they started this initiative, I believe, back in 2016ish. And then I remember they used to also have a hashtag called, where when you make a Makeover Monday and you use that hashtag, they would, I think on Wednesdays, they used to do the Viz review of all the Makeover Mondays that use that particular hashtag, and they used to give feedback. That was really fun. I believe I think I had used that back in time once. So but what's the goal? I believe the goal is for the data fam community to learn and grow together, right? Like you all see what everybody's doing, and then you're putting your work out there, and then finally by the end of the week you're like, okay, what did the other person do? What's that rendition? Okay, that's sick. So I think that this is a really cool initiative, to be honest. If you really want to get into the dashboard development out of it, like how to start, what to do. So there's a lot of inspiration around there. Now, how does it work? You get one data set per week. So almost close. Okay, if every week it happens, it's going to be 52. But this year it started in week 3. So I'm assuming it will be 51 weeks of worth of data that we'll be getting. So you get one data set, and it's released usually on Sundays. And then, yes, everybody takes a stab at it. And then all the participants make different renditions. Some go like ham with it. They make complex quizzes out of it, and which are really good and appealing. Some, and they're really bespoke in nature. Some focus a lot on design, and it's amazing to see what people come up with. And that's why I like this initiative a lot, like a lot. And this year there are new organizers. We have Chimdi Nosu, Irene Diomi, and Harry Bearden. I have linked them in the deck here. If the deck is shared, you all will get it. If not, then I'll probably, after my presentation, put their Tableau public profiles out in the chat. And yes, if you search Makeover Monday on Tableau public, there are 10,000 plus submissions. So that's a lot of visits. And I'm pretty sure it's more than that. 10,000 is the limit that Tableau has there. It would be probably in millions, I would say, by now, since it's like it started in 2016. How to start a journey? First of all, it's never too late. Just go ahead, because as a beginner, you have to start someday. We all did. So just go in there, use the link of Makeover Monday, and it has access to plethora of data sets, like from current challenges to the past challenges. As Serena mentioned, right, choosing data is the hardest thing to do. Like, it's the hardest. Like, for me, it is for sure. So like, if I'm not doing Makeover Mondays, I have to do a business dashboard, or if not even a business dashboard, something else that I really want. Even if I know a topic, sometimes it's hard to get the data. You might have to scrape it or whatever. But here you might get lucky with what, let's say you want something on politics, you might have something on politics out there. And I know there are data sets on politics in Makeover Monday. You want LLMs, you have data on LLMs here right now. So tech, you have tech data, sales data, maybe engagement ring data. It's like different variety of data, right? So this can really help you, if not take part in Makeover Monday, but you can build your own visualizations out of it to start off with your favorite topic. Then just download the data set and go whiz. And one quick tip though, publish your work on Tableau Public, share it with using the hashtag DataFam on Twitter and LinkedIn, and use hashtag Makeover Monday for sure. And of course, tag the organizers so that they see your work, and then they probably share it with for the people, and then you'll connect with more people, and that's how you learn. That's how I am learning. I'm connecting with new people every day, and it's day in, day out activity for me. And I've been enjoying it so far. I'll just give you a quick rundown of how exactly, oh, I'm gonna share mode, wait, yeah, how it actually looks like. So Makeover Monday usually, wait, I'm sorry for the tabs. Yeah, I'm bad at it. Okay, so there you go, one chart at a time, right? And when you scroll through, there you go, 2024 data sets, which is the current year. And then, yeah, just you have plethora of data, like, and these are a lot, 2020. And then, so this is helpful, like y'all can just download the data set out of it. Now I'll go to like my take on Makeover Monday. What do I do? Yeah, I just go to the website and download the data set and then read the source article, right? First step. So these are like the very high level steps, and then I'll be going them into each one of them in detail with an example, as I promised. Yeah, and then I do some transformations on the data if that's needed. I would do some rapid wireframing and design flow. Oh, some error happened there, dang it. Okay, I built some visuals, and then I finally check some data accuracy. So I need to give right and accurate data out there. Okay, so 27 visits in 27 weeks and still going. I promise. Yep. So these are so far all the visits I've put in. They're not in order. They're just haphazardly placed. And this is the example I'm going to walk you all through. Rise of LLMs, week 20, which is last week's data, right? So how did I go? I downloaded the data set and I went to the source article. So the source article was from the famous Information is Beautiful website. They have amazing visuals. You can get data sets from there as well. Just an FYI. Now, when I saw this particular visual, the one thing I saw was, okay, there could be a lot of owners, and then there is another option. But our data set, it didn't have anything grouped together. So all the owners were like, there were 61 owners there, to be very honest. So it's a lot to see here. And so I was like, okay, right off the bat, I have to make it interactive first of all, because this particular visual was actually very interactive. So that's something that I knew. And the other thing was I need to do some grouping for sure. So in order to substantiate on the fact that what I'm thinking is right, I did some quick EDA at my end, which is exploratory data analysis, plugged my data in Tableau, and there was a column called names, which is basically the actual LLMs. So 129 distinct values were there. That's a lot. Owner, the companies that developed LLMs, 61 distinct values mentioned. Date was in MMM format, which is like May 2024. Link, there was a URL to the page. And then finally, there was a column called as a measure. It was a measure. It said trained on X billion parameters, which basically tells on how many number of LLM parameters was it trained on, right? So now I did some transformation. And it's like, sometimes you don't need it with Makeover Monday, they're straightforward. But in this case, I thought I might need, since I had 61 distinct owners, I used Tableau grouping. So I went in, created a group, kept everything in the others, Amazon, Anthropic, Apple, Meta, Google, Microsoft, OpenAI. I kept the big guns separate and others in a separate category altogether. So this was the only transformation I had to do with this one, right? Now, what would I be doing? Serena mentioned to do rapid wireframing and design flow. So yeah, I went in. I usually browse Tableau Public, as she mentioned, because I don't think there is anything better than Tableau Public when you need some inspiration for a dashboard. It has tons of stuff on there. And sometimes people have already done visualizations on your topics, and all you need to do is get some inspiration out of it and add your flavor to it, maybe your interaction to it, your design to it. It could be anything, right? So I use Figma technically for my design and icons for the most part. So I quickly went in. I was like, okay, this is what I basically need. I just quickly created a layout out of it. And I was like, okay, there could be a toggle view here that could toggle my visualizations. I'll probably might have something around a trend chart because I have an year column there, and I wanted everything to be driven by a chart that I might have on the left. So this I knew right off the bat, and this kind of helped me decide my possible flow and interactions. And just to give you an idea, so these are all my designs that I've done since November, all the Makeover Mondays or some business dashboards or some other dashboards that I might have done. So they all were made here. So yeah, I prefer Figma a lot. And yeah, I mean, you can go crazy with it. That tool is amazing and it fits one-on-one with Tableau, like no such compatibilities of whatsoever. So yeah, from here, build visuals. So as I said, the first visual will be that will drive my whole dashboard. I thought, okay, what do? I start by owner because that's what is there. It owns all the LLMs. So I created a bar chart, kind of added a flavor to it with a dual axis. So as that you see this line that gives a starting point to the bar chart. So kind of gave a starting point to it using dual axis and some placeholder techniques. And so I was like, okay, this is one. But one thing I try in my Makeover Mondays is or even in any visualization is to not try to repeat a chart multiple times. Like even if, let's say, I have to do a bar chart again, probably try a different variation. Let's say if it's a regular bar chart here, then maybe try a starting point bar chart or a thin bar chart, or maybe uh, a curved bar chart, something around those lines. So I usually just to add variety, because with Makeover Mondays, technically, like it's like, go ham with it, just explore the tool, explore different visuals. So I think this helped me a lot over the time. Like I have been contributing to Tableau Public, that I can try different things. Sometimes it inspires other people as well. So and that makes me happy, like, because that means like I'm helping people who are trying to get things out there, because I am helped by other people in the community, like Prasanna, Ed, Novi. I mean, I've been in touch with these two like a lot. They give feedback, they tell me how things are. So that's that. Second visual, I wanted something over time, right? So I kind of did all these owners over time, and I added key annotations here. Okay, some key annotations around like when did OpenAI first release their LLM based on the data I had, and then when were the maximum number of LLMs actually developed in which of the years. So these key points add some flavor to the dashboard, and also like for the user, okay, to see like, okay, they can, because there's a lot happening here. If you see, it's a stacked bar chart, a lot is happening. So that's the reason, like, just to give a high level overview, I added some key annotations there. The final view, the toggle view. Of course, there was some legend as well, which just came up now. So I created two views. The view at the bottom is pretty much inspired from what the original source visual already had. So I knew I'm gonna put it there now, but I need to add my own well. So I was like, okay, this is nice, but yeah, it's hard to read as well. So I thought, like, why not create like a tree map and group it like in a bar fashion and break it down by owners. And that's what I did. And yeah, size here basically tells you the number of parameters the LLM was trained on. And then the toggle was achieved by dynamic zone visibility. I have been using that a lot since I did a workout Wednesday this year. I think it was week 5, and I've been using it crazily in pretty much every Makeover Monday, because that has made my life super duper easy. So yeah, these things. This is how I visuals, and of course, were these my first choices? No, I did try different things. Part charts, maybe circle plot charts, like the dot plots, but I ended up thinking like maybe this chart is probably much better as opposed to circle plot chart. But that it's about that it's better, so I went ahead with it. But yeah, finally I arranged everything together, and then the main thing is checking the accuracy of my numbers, because that's the important part. Like, I don't want to put numbers out there that probably don't match the backend data, right? I mean, that's one of the number one principles when you build a dashboard. Your data should be accurate. Now, why is it important in a public profile? Like, because sometimes you end up using bespoke calculations, like you are doing a radial bar chart for instance, you scaffold your data, you multiply the number of rows, right? So the numbers usually get doubled up. So you get double numbers. It happened to me in one of my Makeover Mondays, and somebody actually pinged me. I think it was Anna who pinged me, and she said, your numbers are double, I believe. And I was like, dang. And then I went in and I fixed it. And so yeah, I missed it at that point in time. So yeah, that I next since that week, I think it was week 20 or something. Since that week, I mean focusing more on this particular step, because numbers are important. Now with rise of LLMs, this dashboard data was fairly straightforward. I didn't use anything bespoke where I was scaffolding the data or manipulating it in a way or unioning it in a way that numbers might get doubled or something. So I was good. I was straight with that. So this is how the final viz look like. This is a GIF. So I added a few animations in there for certain views where you could see, they just come in, and then when you deselect, they kind of, you see the transition out there, right? So that's like the animation part in Tableau. I think in the desktop, you can find that, and you can select a sheet. How do you want your animations? You want it simultaneous, you want it sequential. I usually do sequential, but simultaneous is slick as well, and you can time it up as well. So I just thought maybe give it an app-like feel, and where you have the smooth transition. So yeah, animations was something I did later on. And yep, that's how it looked. Now, how do I make my submissions quick? Yeah, this is one question I have been asked a couple of times. Why is it? One thing that I've not mentioned here is weekdays are hard because I don't know what might happen at work. How much work do I have? So yeah, Sundays, it's an all-nighter for me, and Monday I continue my work without sleep. So that's something that I have to do. So I usually give myself 4 to 6 hours every Sunday night, post the challenge getting live, and whatever I learned in the previous slides is what I do from all those steps. Getting the data, source articles, transformations, EDA, and then all that stuff, designing. Now the main question is, how can you do all that in 4 to 6 hours? I mean, that's a lot of stuff. Like it's possible, but it doesn't make sense. You're right, it doesn't make sense. And me and Prasan had this discussion, and I told him, like, so what I call it is perfection versus rapid development. And of course, rapid development, it depends on the data set as well. Now, if I'm doing a rapid development, I am technically not aiming for perfection. That doesn't mean I go way far off of it. I am right here, or I try to be right here. Now, for me, perfection is data being accurate, of course, interactions, super slick interactions, amazing design, all of that. Rapid development, I would say, accuracy is there still, but then decent number of interactions, decent attempt at designs, because I could do so much in 4 to 6 hours. That's the whole point. Because when I give my submission and then over the week I see other people put their stuff in there, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this was super slick. Like, yeah, but for me, within 4 to 6 hours, will that thought even strike to my mind to do something like that? I don't know. So sometimes sometimes I'm very, very happy with what I do. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, okay, and I just publish it. But for me, it's more of like a rapid development. You develop, you publish. It's one chart at a time. You just do, you publish, you and then that's it. This was my first thought, and I scribbled it up in Tableau. That's it. So that's the mindset I go with. And of course, like, it's a good challenge to improve your dashboarding skills. So I would say, yeah, I mean, just download the data and don't be scared. Just do. I know a lot of people at my work who really want to participate. They work on it, but they don't publish. And just because, like, what people might say, and that was the first thought that came to me as well in 2017 when I took part in my first Makeover Monday. It's scary, but it's just, just take that leap of faith once and you'll love it. Trust me. Yeah, so this is how I go about it. And yep, and I have some useful links for you. The Makeover Monday link, of course, from where you can get the data. This is my Tableau public portfolio if you all want to pay a visit to that. My dashboard inspiration is from Tableau Public, and I believe, yeah, there's no better place than Tableau Public. I mean, I'm a big fan, to be very honest. Even my professional dashboards that I do at work, they are for the most part inspired from Tableau Public by the amazing work the data fam contributors have put in there. This is the link of the dashboard that I kind of took as a reference example. Some honorary mentions, and I would like to name them individually: Andre Kriebel, Ken Flerlage, Kevin Flerlage, Chimdi Nosu. He's our Monday one of the Makeover Monday organizers. Adrian Zinovi, I have worked with him for 3 months. Deloitte, not last year, 2022. Yeah, he's an amazing guy, super smart guy, and I believe you all might already be knowing him, how super slick his work is. Jim Denner, the amazing Tableau community guy who posts amazing solutions to, I don't know, the trickiest problems ever in Tableau. Samuel Parson, Sarah Bartlett, OG, Pradeep Kumar ji, like amazing business dashboards, and of course Prasanna Prem, like how can I forget him? Like he's the man. Like he's putting a lot of efforts out in the community. His Nebula program, second iteration of that, like amazing stuff. So yeah, that's all I have for you all.
Thank you so much, Shangruff. Great presentation, as well as I loved your enthusiasm, like how you presented. It really came from the heart, and I really believe that that is most important. And thank you so much for the mention. Uh, I don't know how much impact it has been, but I'm really glad for the mention as well. And really loved your enthusiasm and the presentation and how you have been putting work every week. I'll tell you, to be honest, it's not easy. It's not easy to keep up that enthusiasm. People will do it. I used to do Make Monday in 2020 when I started getting into the data field. I did almost like 7 or 10. Like we had like a group, like there were 5 or 6 people, and we were in kind of a marathon or race. Like one will publish, and then we'll be like, okay, he's already published. We need to work on it. So it went like that, and it's been amazing. So Make Monday is kind of must for everyone who is starting the journey. And thank you so much for taking us through all the process as well as how you think. The mindset is kind of really important apart from how you build visualizations, because that's what motivates people. So thank you so much for bringing yourself into the presentation, not just your skills. I really love that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Great session, Shangruff. So, because I see your enthusiasm and time and efforts that you put through the Makeover Monday presentations, and I really love the quotes like one chart at a time. And sometimes we give more importance to the visual, but numbers matters a lot. So I echo that you mentioned that as well. So really impressive presentation, and thank you very much for sharing your journey, Makeover Monday journey. And there's just a questions and lot of comments on your sessions. Like all kudos to you. And there's just a question from Kopal Sneha about how can we set the animations, like time for the animations in desktop, or can we do that in public? So any
Uh, yeah. So wait, let me get in Q&A. Can you repeat the question? I didn't see the question. Let's scroll up.
yeah, how can we set the time for the animations in Tableau desktop?
Yeah, so you have an option. I believe when you click on format, there is animation option there. I believe it's format tab. You click on animations, then you can select every visual you need to set animations on, and it gives you 4 or 5 options. It's like 0.30 seconds, which is fast, 0.50 seconds, which is kind of medium, and then there is uh, super slow as well. So, and then you can do it either simultaneously or sequentially. One thing to note, if you have too many data points, Tableau public or Tableau server at your workplace will say, "This too complex, pausing animations," and animations won't happen. Makeover
Yeah.
Monday data is small, so it worked for me. But yeah, but if you use correct filters at the right time, you can work it with huge data sets as well. So you could get those transitions. So yeah, it can be done anywhere. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you have large volume of data, then it can slow down the performance of the dashboard. For us, by default, it's disabled. So whenever you open up a dashboard, so animations are disabled. So even sometimes the users don't want to see that message, like animations are disabled. So then they can go to settings and check some options so that they can see. But yeah, thanks a lot for answering that.
Of course.
Yeah, I think other than that, oh, sorry, I see two more questions. No, just some feedback. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Shangruff, again for sharing your journey.
Of course.
So over to Sujan. Maybe
Yep.
present if you want to share the screen.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sujan, for coming and joining us. And you have a great topic, and I'm really excited for it. Just quickly share my screen. Yes. So now we have Sujan Narahari, and he's going to talk about, he's an assistant manager at Latent View Analytics, and he's going to cover something really insightful that you can use at your work, and that is multi-dimensional and multi-level set actions. So in this session, he will take us through how they can be leveraged for simultaneous selection as well as filtering across multiple dimensions within a data set. Because once you have really good interactions, it really enhances the analytical depth and flexibility. So that is what he's going to share with us, and I'm really excited for the session. So I'll hand over to Sujan now. Take the stage, Sujan.
Yeah, thank you, Prasan. Thank you, Avinash, for giving me this opportunity to be part of this particular user group meetup as a speaker. And thanks everyone for joining who have joined today. So, firstly, I'll just talk about myself. I've been as a BI developer starting, and then later I moved a little now into my career, and I am almost close to 5+ years of experience. And in this 5+ years of experience, I've been mostly used Tableau, and as well as after using Tableau, I've solved a lot of business problems that anyone would have in my client side. And also, as a part of Tableau community, as I am working with Tableau, I always feel that I should contribute a little more for the community, and also I've been learning more from them. So as we already know what visual vocabulary, we already know by Andy, he have published this visual vocabulary, and this has been my inspiration for any go-to thing in my initial days. And also, as we progress, I also thought about what else we can add, and what else anyone starting in their visualization space, what exactly they can do. So this is something that I have added some extra additions to it, whatever Andy has made. And there are some things that I have made in here. So few things you might be seeing about, like ease building, these all things, alternative chats. And once we click on anything, we'll try to see some external links about the side by side comparison of how exactly we can develop these all things, and also the pros and cons of each chart type what we have. Just an addition of what we have there. And also I have my contribution also, in the blogs that I'll be publishing. And also I always think about what else I can do. Also, I was a user group speaker last time, and this is the second time that I am being a user group speaker. And if we go a little deeper into my today's topic, multi-dimensional, multi-level set actions. So before we go a little deeper into this, I just wanted to first give why exactly I am trying to get this thing into space. Like, we can just give something like we can just open something like this, and there is no point that we can just directly give someone like a region, and then we can give someone like a country, category, and this one. But this will be a lot of data, and they might not get the right insights to what they want. And for this particular use case, actually there so my client wanted a web dashboard. So earlier, all the users that they have were using Google Analytics, and they wanted something similar, and also some more additional points that they want in the Tableau dashboard, what they are trying to switch to. So for that reason, I have given them an option where they can choose between multiple dimensions at each level. So these are three levels that they can choose, and also they can choose the measure whatever they wanted. And if I specifically wanted to see about East, I can see East region. What are the different categories that I have? No, what are the different categories I have? And here, furniture scenes. It's like furniture is just low profit. And if I still wanted to go a little deeper and understand, because of tables, which has been very low profit, it has been this the low performing thing. Something like these kind of insights can be get with the help of this. So and if we try to switch it to city, we can also get something like this. So these kind of things, if we try to achieve, this can be achieved only with the help of set actions. So I'll just give a quick uh, walk how we can exactly replicate this thing with the help of set actions. Just a moment. So yeah, let's get the superstore data set itself, and everyone's favorite for most of the people who use here. And okay, since we in our use case, we wanted three different dimensions that needs to be selected. Let's try creating all the three dimensions. Uh, so dim one, I'll try to put, and it's a string. And here I'll try to put region. I'll try to put cat. I'll try to put, and since we need similar kind of dimension, we can just duplicate these all things. And yeah, just to be sure about, we can just name it. Yeah, and also for every parameter that needs to be shown, whatever the interactions that we do, if that definitely needs to be shown in the right way, we definitely should have a driver calculator, as we already know. So I'll just put down quickly the dimension one. When I'll just pick region, then the region should show up. When I select cat, then the category should show up. When I select subcat, then the subcategory field show up. And I can just use a duplicate of all these things, and I can just change the dimension what I am using. So the parameter what I am using, sir, into this. Yeah. So now we can just see something like this, where for dimension one, if I try to change about category, we can get all these things. Now, first thing what we need to do is we need to create a set out of it, and we just left it without selecting anything. And if we try to bring in the set over here, and we already know that like we have two different actions, like dashboard actions and worksheet actions. Since I am trying to show it at this level, at a worksheet level, I'll just go with the worksheet, and here I will try to select dimension one set which I have recently created. And so when I select this thing, so in this sheet, when I select dimension one target set, it should assign the value. There are three different options we can do. We can, if I need to see about, if I need to add some more values into our set, like I wanted to see all the levels, like east, I wanted to see south, I wanted to see, and west, we can have add values. And if there is some use case where we don't wanted to see something, we can remove values from the set. something like this is really powerful. And when we try to unselect something, what exactly it should be doing. So remove all the values from the set, what I am trying to put for this scenario. So when I select over here, we can see that in has been came in. So we can see that in. So now now what I'll do, I'll try to create one more calculation where whatever it is being selected in the, so whatever it has been selected in this set, I wanted to see for that specific east or for that specific whatever dimension one value what we selected. I need to see the dimension 2 related information. If I am not selecting anything, I need to see the blank. So that is what we'll try to have it over here. Then when I try to bring in this one, and also I need to change the parameter value here. So I can see, so whatever we have selected over here related to that information is being popped out over here. And the next comes the trickiest part where we need to have for multi-level. So this is one level that is very simple, and we can do that. So if we need to do it for the two different levels, what we need to do, we need to take a calculation what we have here, what we have selected, what we already created based on dimension 1 set, we have returning dimension 2. For this dimension, we have to take this as a set. We have to first create a set of it. Okay. And then we need to use this set to create a calculated field where we are showing the level 3 of dimension values. So now, since we are showing the 3 level one, so first level is also the first set, dimension 1 set is what we need to first consider for east region, and for the second whatever category is, if some furniture is being selected or if office supply is being selected, we have to consider that one as well. So then what we need to do, we need to see the dimension 3, else we should not see anything when it is not selected anything. So when we try to add this to here, when east is selected, then when we try to see the office supply, just a moment. So when we try to select over here, yeah, very important. Yeah, when we select east over here, and when we select here, then this all things will be shown up over here. The third level is where we will try to take both the set 1 and set 2, and then we'll try to return the third value from that set. So similarly, that if we try to give one different measure option, we can try to switch it to sales, we can try to switch it to profit, and then we can have all these things shown in this way. And if we need to show it to same again the subcategory, we can see all subcategory profit level information. So I think that's all I have for today. Any questions?
Thank you, Sujan. So that's very interesting. And I know always the live sessions are tricky, and you did very well. So thank you very much for sharing the multi-level set actions and the dashboard. It looks like an app, like you can just click there and it will just pop up and pop out. So it's really useful. And thank you very much for sharing. Uh, Let me check for questions. So there are no questions, but a lot of feedback, like super sleek and uh, nice tips that they learned from you today. So again, like some positive comments on the explanation and how you did with the set action. So yeah, no questions so far. But yeah, again, thank you very much for your time and really appreciate. I know it's very late for you, so again, thanks so much for taking your time out that one weekend. So like everyone and talking to Tableau Buddy. So, present do you have any comments or any of the presenters?
Like all together, thank you so much, Sujan, for bringing this interactive session. Like doing it in Tableau on the go, it quite takes so much
Yeah,
effort. And thank you so much for doing that. And thank you all of you for spending your time with us, sharing your knowledge. The one thing I liked so much from all of you is like everyone was so interactive, as well as the chat box. You can see it is just buzzing with comments
yeah,
out there. So that really like makes me feel good, because audience is enjoying, you as a speaker are enjoying, and that is indeed beautiful. So thank you so much again, guys. For those who are joining from eastern part of the world, it's almost night for all of us. So have a good night, or maybe if you have plans for Friday night or party, now you can go.
mhm,
And
yeah.
for each of you who are from the western part, I think now you're done with this, so now you can go ahead and party. Okay. So thank you so much again. Yeah, and
Yeah,
see you all around. We all are connected through LinkedIn, and any of you who is out here who wants to reach out for help, or just you want a coffee chat, you can book time with me, as well as you can reach out to others. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank